Hello everyone, welcome to Module 3, Using Teaching Aids. In this video, we are going to introduce the definitions of teaching aids, their important roles in language teaching and learning, and different kinds of teaching aids used in a language practice lesson. Besides, we'll present some tips on how to use visual aids. Let's get started with the definitions of teaching aids. According to Spread MAO 2008, teaching aids are the resources and equipment available in the classroom, as well as the resources we bring into the classroom to facilitate the teaching and learning process. In the ESL/EFL Classroom Techniques and Practices Coursebook 2011, teaching aids are defined as any teaching tools used by the teacher to present new language and help students practice the new language. In fact, teaching aids play a number of important roles in the language teaching and learning process. Now, let's see. First, teaching aids help motivate students so that they can maintain their attention throughout the lesson, from the beginning till end. Second, teachers can use some teaching aids to illustrate new language, clarify the subject matter more easily, and help students recall their already learned knowledge. Third, thanks to a variety of teaching aids in class, teachers can reduce their talking time, therefore increase student talking time. Sometimes, only a picture or an object can encourage students to talk more. Fourth, teaching aids make the classroom lifelike and dynamic, especially when realia, that is real or authentic objects, or video clips are used. Students can use their 5 senses to perceive real objects in the classroom, while video clips tend to be appealing with sounds, pictures, and special effects. Fifth, some teaching aids can be used like games, so they help students become less anxious, less fearful, or less bored with their studying. And lastly, teaching aids help create a diverse and interesting learning environment for students, because with no teaching aids, a lesson may easily become monotonous and boring for students. Teaching aids are classified into 4 main types: classroom equipment, visual aids, audio aids, and audio-visual aids. Let's take a look at some examples of these teaching aids. The first type of teaching aids is classroom equipment, which includes devices available and ready for use in a classroom, such as chalkboards and whiteboards. Interactive whiteboards, flip chart boards, overhead projectors or OHPs, data projectors and computers, and CD players. The second type is visual aids. They are so-called visual aids because they mainly involve the sense of sight. They can take many forms, but the most common are realia. Some examples of realia are maps, menus, real objects. The second most examples of visual aids are pictures, drawings, photos, charts, flashcards, roll cards, or slides. Other examples are props, which include puppets or headgears, and Cuisinart rods. Cuisinart rods are small blocks of wood which have a variety of uses, such as illustrating colors, demonstrating prepositions of places, or showing word stress and number of syllables in a word. The third type is audio aids. These aids involve mainly the senses of hearing, for example, CDs or audio files with songs, chants, or recordings. And the last type is audio-visual aids, which involve both the sense of sight and the sense of hearing. They include film strips, video clips, the teachers, and the students themselves. Without looking at the previous slides, in 1 minute, fill in this diagram with different types of teaching aids. As you know, visual aids are one of the most frequently used type of teaching aids, thanks to their outstanding benefits. Wauer and Walter, 1983, recommended 3 stages of using visual aids that every teacher should follow to fully exploit the visual aids. They are the preparation stage, the demonstration stage, and the post-demonstration stage. In the preparation stage, you should take these points into consideration. First, the visual aid must be big enough to be seen by everyone, especially those who are sitting at the back or in the far corner of the class. For example, a too small picture may well cause a nuisance to the students as they can hardly see anything in it. Second, the visual aid should be clear so that students do not have to try hard to see what is shown in it. Third, the visual aid ought to be unambiguous unless the ambiguity is intentional and productive. By unambiguous, I mean the visual aid should be as simple as it can be for the purpose it has to serve. Fourth, the visual aid needs to be presentable, preferably with something that it can be attached to for support. In fact, pictures simply ripped out of magazines may look scrappy and untidy. Fifth, the visual aid should definitely be safe for both the teacher and the students to use. And lastly, the visual aid must be economical to use. In fact, in one lesson, teachers may need more than one visual aids, many of which are not always available and not easy to be made. So, teachers may have to buy some visual aids to use in the classroom. Look at each picture and decide which one can be used as a visual aid, which one should not be used, and provide your reasons. Picture 1. Picture 2. Picture 3 and Picture 4. Picture 1 is big and clear enough to be shown to the whole class of 30 students. Picture 2 is big but not clear enough for a class of 30 students to see the details in it. Picture 3 is clear but too small to be shown to a class of 30 students. And Picture 4 is not only small but also unclear to be shown to the whole class. And this is the best picture. Now, let's take a look at the demonstration stage to see what you should do with the visual. First, draw students' attention to the visual aid, such as a picture you are going to show. Then, hold the visual steady and show it around the class to make sure that everyone can see it easily. Do not stand in a position where two students on either side cannot see the visual properly. Walk around slowly and show the visual aid to each student in turn, if necessary. Remember to ask students whether they can see it well or not. Next, ask one or two quick questions to help students stay focused on the part you are interested in. Don't forget to pause for some seconds for students to understand what they see in the visual and process the questions you have asked. And finally, display the visual aids by sticking it to the board, on the wall, or on a notice board, so that you can refer to that later in the lesson. Especially when you want to summarize what has been done. After the lesson, make sure that you can do these things. First, store and classify the used visuals to make a teaching resource. You can also recycle these visuals and add more to the resource. Second, put a note on the back of each visual after you have used it. This note will help you recall what you have used that visual for. Finally, note down the kinds of visual aids that you have used for each lesson in the lesson plan. This helps you save time for the same lesson you are planning in the future. Well, in this video, we've answered the following overview questions about teaching aids. What is teaching aid? How important is teaching aid? How many types of teaching aids are there? And how can visual aids be used effectively? In the next video, we'll discuss the application of 3 teaching aids in more detail. The board, the interactive whiteboard, and the teacher. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.